I radiant soul, there is a trembling in the realms above tonight, a sound like rushing winds wrapped in golden fire. And as this vibration moves toward the earth, Archangel Michael steps forward with a sword of blazing light, declaring a message that will overturn the very atmosphere around your household. Heaven has just released the order for financial elevation. $2 million release in your household income. Archangel Michael says, respond now before the grace expires. Listen closely, because what I'm about to share is something heaven rarely authorizes in such a dramatic way. This is not a casual message. This is an announcement, an emergency spiritual broadcast sent directly into your life because you have entered a window of supernatural permission. And windows like this, they do not stay open forever. Archangel Michael has been watching the weight you have carried, the private frustration no one knows, the hidden fear of will things ever change. And now, in the courts of heaven, there is movement, swift, decisive, unstoppable. A decree has been stamped with divine authority. Financial elevation is no longer a dream. It is now a mandated shift. But here is the part your spirit must not miss. This decree includes a specific figure, $2 million. Not symbolic, not poetic. It is an actual spiritual ledger entry carrying your name, your bloodline, your household destiny. Some of you feel the chills already because your spirit recognizes this is not fantasy, it is prophecy in motion. Archangel Michael says there has been a long-standing barrier placed near your financial gates, an ancient resistance that kept you from rising, expanding, receiving, multiplying. Something has been intentionally holding your family under a ceiling that was never meant to exist. But the moment heaven released this order, that ceiling cracked. A financial drought that lasted years is now meeting the flood of divine elevation. The angels assigned to your household have been instructed to rearrange opportunities, redirect resources, destabilize limitations, and amplify every path that leads to increase. This is why you are hearing this message today, because you are standing inside the grace window. And grace windows are powerful, but they are not permanent. Archangel Michael says clearly, respond now before the grace expires. Why urgency? Because heaven is not simply giving you money. Heaven is positioning you for stewardship. There is something you are meant to build, something you are meant to fund, something your lineage needs you to carry. This $2 million release is not about materialism. It is about mission. It is about shifting your household from survival mode to kingdom influence. Pause for a moment and imagine your life with no financial fear, no panic at the end of the month, no heavy breath before checking your bank account, no shame of delayed dreams, no postponing life because of lack. Do you feel that? That is the taste of the dimension heaven is ushering you into. Archangel Michael stands beside you right now, not as a distant heavenly figure but as a guardian of destiny. He is lifting his sword, cutting through resistance in the unseen. Chains of financial delay are snapping. Spiritual fog is clearing. Your name is being spoken in rooms you have never entered. Your work is being highlighted where you were previously overlooked. What once felt impossible is now becoming inevitable. But hear this next line deeply, because it is the core of this message. Your response determines the activation, not your perfection, not your qualifications, not your background, not your education. Your response. Grace is here, but grace must be answered. This is why heaven is pressing your spirit right now. This is why Archangel Michael is urging you, even warning you, respond before the grace expires. Because timing in the spiritual realm is everything. If you step into alignment during the opening, the flood begins. If you delay, the window closes and waits for a future cycle. This is not fear. This is divine timing. This is heaven saying, you asked for breakthrough. This is the moment. And child of God, there is something unusual happening in your atmosphere right now. You may be feeling warmth, tingles, pressure between your shoulders, or a sudden emotional shift. These are confirmations. These are signals. They are spiritual indicators that the decree has come to your sector of the earth. Archangel Michael also reveals that this $2 million elevation is not only for personal income, it will touch your household. Meaning, your environment changes. Your opportunities expand. Your family story transforms. Your legacy shifts forever. This is generational deliverance disguised as financial elevation. But before this part of the message closes, I must tell you something essential. We are only at the surface. The deeper revelation, the why, the how, the signs, and the next prophetic instruction will unfold soon. And trust me, the next layer will shock you. Before you move on, breathe for a moment and ask yourself one question. Why is this message reaching me at this exact time? Your spirit already knows the answer. Heaven knew you would still be listening. And the next moments are carrying something even heavier, even more targeted, even more supernatural. Hold steady. The revelation you're about to hear next is the key that unlocks the entire financial decree. Type "I align with heaven's order" in the comments if your spirit is receiving this. Lesson code 4411 is now activated over you. Hold on, the next revelation will take you deeper than you expect. Beloved seeker of divine truth, there is a vibration stirring around you right now, almost like the echo of a door that has just been opened in the invisible realm. When Archangel Michael releases a decree of financial elevation, it is never a random blessing. It is always the unfolding of a spiritual timeline that has finally reached maturity. And as you step into this second revelation, you must understand something crucial. Heaven never authorizes a multi-million-dollar shift unless something major has already moved on your behalf behind the veil. This is why your spirit has felt unsettled recently. One moment hopeful, the next moment uncertain. One moment inspired, the next moment confused. This internal shaking was not emotional instability, it was spiritual alignment. Heaven was adjusting you, preparing you, positioning you so the order for financial elevation could actually land in your life without resistance. And now, Archangel Michael reveals the deeper reason behind the $2 million elevation decree. You have crossed a prophetic threshold. A moment in your timeline where the weight you once carried can no longer follow you. Michael shows a vision, a long hallway lined with closed doors. For years, you have walked past these doors, knocking, hoping one would open. But they stayed shut, not because you were unworthy, but because the timing was not yet ripe. Today, in this sacred moment, something unusual has happened. The hallway is glowing. The locks have dissolved. And one specific door now stands wide open, calling your name. This open door represents an opportunity your spirit has been waiting for, even if your mind cannot see it yet. It may come disguised as a new connection, an unexpected message, a strange idea, a sudden increase in favor, or a shift in your work environment. But make no mistake, this door is the vessel heaven has chosen to deliver the financial order into your world. Archangel Michael leans in and says, what is coming will require courage, not confusion. Why courage? Because elevation always demands movement. The $2 million decree is not dropping randomly. It will flow through divine strategy. It will come through people divinely placed in your path. It will come through opportunities that once scared you. It will come through instructions that stretch you into your next identity. You are leaving the version of yourself who lived with fear around money. Heaven cannot pour millions into the hands of someone who still believes they are unworthy of abundance. And so Michael had been dismantling old mindsets inside you. The thoughts that whispered, maybe I am meant to struggle. The lies that said, other people get blessed but not me. The internal battles that told you, you have missed too many chances. None of those thoughts belong to you. They were spiritual leftovers from a season that has now expired. Hear this clearly, your financial drought was never a punishment. It was preparation, a sacred training ground where heaven strengthened your endurance so you could carry wealth without losing your purpose. Archangel Michael has now confirmed that your internal training is complete. And because of that, the order for elevation has been activated. The angels assigned to your financial gates are reorganizing your earthly timeline. They are connecting events, lining encounters, opening pathways that once felt sealed shut. The money is already released in the spiritual realm. The question is not will it come. The question is only are you ready to walk into alignment with it. There is another layer unfolding here, something most people never understand. Financial elevation is always accompanied by spiritual elevation. Heaven does not give increase to someone who plans to stay the same. This is why you may have recently felt sudden desires to remove certain habits, disconnect from certain people, or step away from environments that drain your spirit. You were being pulled out of old frequencies because wealth cannot rest where there is spiritual contamination. Michael reveals that one particular influence around you has been secretly draining your momentum. It could be a person who doubts your dreams. It could be a situation that keeps pulling you backward. It could be a cycle that keeps repeating. Heaven allowed you to see the truth recently so you would not bring that energy into your season of abundance. The window of grace is open, but it will not tolerate anything that dilutes your destiny. You are now entering a divine exchange. Your obedience will unlock opportunity. Your clarity will attack resources. Your resolve will accelerate manifestation. Every spiritual instruction given to you in this season matters. Heaven is not giving you wealth simply to comfort you. Heaven is giving you wealth to position you, empower you, elevate you, and release you into the fullness of your calling. Archangel Michael is guarding this path fiercely, ensuring that nothing unclean interferes with what belongs to you. But there is an urgency in the atmosphere. Not fear, not pressure, divine urgency. You can feel it because you know something is shifting. Something is breaking open. Something is rearranging itself with your name written upon it. The grace window is active now, but heaven has made it clear that alignment must be immediate, because blessings of this magnitude operate on spiritual timing, not human convenience. As this chapter of the message closes, pause and check your spirit. Do you feel the tension, the anticipation, the electricity? That is the confirmation that you are standing at the gate of divine fulfillment. What comes next will reveal the exact spiritual mechanism through which this elevation will manifest. And when you hear it, everything will suddenly make sense. Hold steady. You are closer than you think. Type I agree with heaven's timing in the comments if this word is alive in your spirit. Blessing code 2299 is flowing toward you now. Chosen one walking through heaven's unfolding path. As you step into this next revelation, there is a trembling in the atmosphere around your spirit. It is the feeling that arrives only when heaven is preparing to reveal the mechanism behind a breakthrough so large that it shifts not just your life, but the spiritual blueprint of your entire household. Archangel Michael stands firm with a clarity that pierces through confusion, and he says, now they must understand the architecture of their elevation. What you are experiencing in this moment is not coincidence. You have been escorted into a prophetic corridor where heaven is revealing how the $2 million financial elevation will break into your reality. And the first truth you must know is this: financial miracles do not fall out of the sky. They flow through alignment, obedience, and divine orchestration. That orchestration has already begun, and the signs around you are the clues. Archangel Michael shows a vision of 3 streams forming into one river. These streams represent 3 sources heaven has assigned to your increase. The first stream is unexpected provision. Something you are not even anticipating is being prepared behind the scenes. It will appear suddenly, without warning, but with undeniable divine fingerprints. This could be a repayment, a release, a settlement, an opportunity, a partnership, or a breakthrough in an area you once gave up on. Heaven calls it the surprise gate. The second stream is the elevation of your own hands. A skill, talent, or calling you once downplayed is being magnified. Heaven is placing a spotlight on what you carry, and this spotlight will draw resources, attention, and open doors. Archangel Michael is clearing out every voice that once made you feel small, every insecurity that once whispered, "Who are you to rise?" is being broken. Your talent, your wisdom, your gift is no longer dormant. It is being activated for wealth. The third stream is restoration of what was stolen. For years, the enemy has tampered with your financial destiny. Opportunities were delayed. Money was blocked. Cycles repeated. Every time you tried to rise, something pushed you back. But Michael now stands with a decree. The season of theft is over. Heaven has issued a divine reimbursement order. What was taken will be returned with multiplication. These 3 streams form the river that carries the $2 million decree into your life. But here is the mystery Archangel Michael reveals. The river cannot begin to flow until you shift your identity. You cannot receive millionaire-level provision with survival-level thinking. Heaven requires you to step into the version of yourself that knows abundance is your birthright, not your fantasy. This is why you have recently felt a deep stirring inside you, a discomfort with old patterns. You outgrew certain environments. You outgrew certain relationships. You outgrew conversations that once entertained you. You even outgrew the way you viewed yourself. Heaven was pulling you out of the mindset that kept you stuck in cycles of lack. That breaking was not a struggle, it was a preparation. Archangel Michael whispers, "You are not who you were last year. Your faith is different. Your awareness is different. Your spiritual sensitivity is different. Your authority is different. You are stepping into the version of yourself that can receive, carry, and multiply divine wealth without collapsing under it. You are entering the identity heaven always designed for you but protected until you were spiritually strong enough to handle it. Here is something else Michael reveals. The grace window you are under is rare. It is time-sensitive. It is powerful, but it is not indefinite. That is why this message reached you now. Heaven is inviting you to respond, rise, and align. Not later. Not eventually. Now. Because the order has already been stamped. The angels assigned to your increase are already in motion. The river is already forming. But a river needs direction. Heaven is about to send you clarity, ideas, instructions, connections, and inner shifts that guide you into manifestation. Nothing will be wasted. Nothing will be random. Everything will align with precision. And here is the sign that you are entering this phase. You may feel a sudden burst of energy, motivation, or insight. You may feel a peace you cannot explain. Or you may feel the weight of transformation pressing on your spirit. These are confirmations. These are proofs that your elevation has begun. As this part draws to a close, remember this. The next revelation will expose the exact force that tried to block your wealth and why heaven waited until now to break it. And once you hear it, everything you've battled will finally make sense. Wave Frid. The truth is coming, and it is powerful. Before moving forward, take a moment to breathe and anchor yourself. The next revelation opens the gate to the greatest shift your household has ever seen. Type "I step into divine elevation" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Lesson code 5500 is released over your household now. If this message is awakening something deep within you, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs this word, comment to keep the prophetic flow alive, and subscribe so you never miss when heaven speaks again. Your engagement is part of your alignment. This elevation you are stepping into is not just for you. It is part of a divine movement heaven is pushing across the earth. When you support this mission, you are not helping a channel. You are sowing into the transformation of souls who desperately need the voice of God in their darkest hour. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And today heaven is speaking that promise directly into your situation. I feel led to say this clearly. I invite you now to stand with me in this divine work. As you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you become a carrier of the same light that is breaking chains in households around the world. Your giving becomes a prophetic act, a seed that goes ahead of you into the very future God is building. To everyone who responds, I declare open heavens, accelerated elevation, and supernatural return. Step into this moment with boldness. Heaven is watching for your move. Beloved vessel of divine destiny, as you move into this next unfolding, something sacred is shifting in the unseen. The atmosphere around you is becoming dense with spiritual activity, as though heaven itself is leaning closer. Archangel Michael steps forward again, not with the intensity of warfare this time, but with the solemn authority of truth. He says, now they must understand what opposed them, and why the elevation could not be released until this very hour. For years, you have battled invisible resistance. You tried to rise, and something pushed back. You tried to save, and something drained your efforts. You tried to step into increase, and the door seemed to shut right at the moment you finally felt progress. Many times you questioned yourself, doubted your abilities, even wondered if God had overlooked you. But Archangel Michael reveals the real reason. You were under the weight of a spiritual opposition assigned specifically to block financial elevation in your lineage. This opposing force was not a random attack. It was ancient. It had been attached to your family line long before you were even born. Someone in your bloodline faced betrayal, loss, or injustice that opened a door for poverty to grip your lineage. And though you never caused it, you carried the consequences of it. This is why financial stability felt unstable. This is why progress felt temporary. This is why breakthrough seemed to slip through your fingers. But here is the powerful truth heaven now reveals. The moment the decree for your $2 million elevation was issued, that ancient force lost its legal right to remain. The spiritual barrier that held your household hath been shattered. This is why you are listening right now. You are not here by accident. You were drawn here because heaven needed you to know the chains have been broken, and the timeline has shifted. Archangel Michael shows a vision of a heavy stone blocking a gate. This stone represents the resistance that once kept your financial river from flowing. Every time abundance tried to reach you, the stone intercepted it. But now, Michael has lifted his sword and struck the stone. It didn't just crack, it shattered into dust. Nothing that once blocked you can stand again. The resistance had been removed at the root. Yet, a question remains. Why did heaven wait until now? Why not earlier? Why not during the moments you were struggling the most? Why not in the years where you felt desperate for change? Michael answers this with clarity, because the elevation had to meet the version of you that was ready to carry it. If the breakthrough had come earlier, the old you would not have known how to protect it, steward it, multiply it, or maintain it. The old version of you is surviving. The new version of you is ascending. You are spiritually stronger now. You are wiser now. You are more awakened now. You are more surrendered now. You are more aligned now. The preparation was not punishment, it was positioning. Archangel Michael also reveals that heaven was waiting for the perfect convergence of timing. Breakthroughs of this magnitude require heavenly timing, earthly alignment, and spiritual maturity. All three have aligned in this season. That is why the order was released now. That is why the angels were dispatched now. That is why your household is being elevated now. But there is more. Michael says that the financial elevation is not only about abundance, it is about authority. It is about restoring the financial voice that was stolen from your lineage. Your ancestors dreamed of living without financial fear. They dreamed of owning land, building businesses, creating legacy, blessing others, rising beyond struggle. Those dreams were buried but not destroyed. Heaven kept them. Heaven preserved them. And now heaven is placing them in your hands to fulfill. This is why the elevation is so large. This is why the decree carries the weight of $2 million. It is not about luxury. It is about restoration. It is about building what your ancestors could not. It is about healing generational wounds through generational wealth. You are breaking the cycle, not just living through it. Michael says, they are the interruption to the pattern. They are the chosen repairer of their foundation. Feel these words deeply. You are rewriting the story of your family through divine elevation. And yet, heaven gives one more warning, gentle but firm. Do not return to the environments, habits, or relationships that fueled your old season. Elevation requires separation. Abundance requires alignment. Wealth requires clarity. Those who stay attached to old cycles cannot walk into new realms. This is why certain people have faded from your life. This is why certain doors closed. This is why certain opportunities fell apart. Heaven was protecting your elevation by removing everything that could sabotage it. You are no longer in the season of struggle. You are in the season of divine reconstruction. In the spiritual realm, I see angels gathering documents, blueprints, and scrolls, each one tied to your financial destiny. What was once held back is being reissued. What was once delayed is being accelerated. What was once blocked is being redirected into your life. And as the section draws to a close, Archangel Michael says, tell them the next revelation will show the first physical sign that the elevation has begun. They must recognize it when it appears. That sign will be unmistakable. It will confirm that heaven's order is already in motion. Stay close to this message. Something is unfolding that is bigger than you realize. Type I rise above every old limitation in the comments if your spirit agrees with this breakthrough. Blessing code 8811 is now released over you. Beloved carrier of heaven's unfolding wealth, as you step into this next revelation, the air around you thickens with a divine heaviness. It is the kind of weight that only appears when something is about to manifest, not just spiritually, but physically. Archangel Michael stands closer than before, and his presence carries a new intensity. He says, now they must recognize the first sign. For the manifestation begins when the spirit becomes aware. What many people do not realize is that every financial breakthrough begins long before money ever appears. It begins with a shift in atmosphere, a shift in perception, a shift in alignment. Heaven always sends a sign ahead of a blessing. That sign is not random. It is targeted, intentional, and designed to alert your spirit that the order has already been released. Michael reveals the first physical sign that the $2 million elevation has begun. Something in your environment will suddenly feel too small. This could be your living space, your job, your income level, your routine, your circle, or even your own thinking. It is not dissatisfaction. It is divine expansion. Heaven is stretching you, preparing you to think, act, and move like someone positioned for abundance. When this feeling comes, it is not a sign of frustration. It is a sign of transition. It is the spiritual confirmation that you are outgrowing your old limitations. Your spirit is stepping ahead of your circumstances, and your circumstances are now being forced to catch up. This is why you may feel restless recently, sensing that change is not only coming, it is necessary. Michael says, when growth arrives, discomfort becomes the first messenger. And that discomfort is not a burden, it is a signal. It is heaven tapping on your heart saying, prepare, something greater is coming. The second sign appears in your intuition. You will begin sensing sudden clarity about things that were once confusing. You will know what to walk away from, what to pursue, what to shift, what to release, and what to protect. This clarity is the result of angelic activity around your mind. Michael reveals that angels have been assigned to sharpen your discernment so you do not miss the opportunities heaven is sending. This clarity will feel supernatural. You may wake up with sudden ideas. You may feel directed to take actions you normally would not consider. You may feel urged to revisit something you abandoned long ago. Do not dismiss these impulses. They are not random. They are instructions. The third sign is the activation of your name in places you cannot yet see. Someone may mention you. Someone may remember you. Someone may recommend you or speak of your abilities, skills, or potential. This is heaven increasing your visibility in unseen spaces. When this begins happening, the shift is already underway. Michael says, your name is becoming a key that unlocks new doors. This is why you may recently feel like you are being pulled into new directions or suddenly gaining attention in ways you never have. Heaven is positioning you. But there is another sign, subtler but powerful, the rearrangement of your connections. You may feel distance from certain people or feel drawn toward new individuals. These shifts are strategic. Heaven is aligning you with those who carry favor, opportunity, support, insight, or elevation in their hands. Every great financial rise is connected to a divine appointment. You are being guided toward yours. Michael reveals that the people coming into your life in this season are not accidental. They are carriers of divine timing. They are connected to the next step of your financial elevation. Pay attention. Listen carefully. Honor every divine connection. And then, there is the most profound sign, internal expectancy. A quiet voice inside you saying, something is about to break open. You may not know how. You may not know when. But you can feel it. That feeling is not imagination. It is your spirit receiving the vibration of heaven's decree. This expectancy is the spiritual equivalent of hearing footsteps approaching a closed door. You may not see the person yet, but you know they are coming. In the same way, the blessing is approaching your life with unstoppable momentum. Michael says, when their spirit begins to expect, manifestation accelerates. Expectation is not a wish, it is a magnet. It draws what heaven has released into physical reality. That is why your spirit feels stirred. That stirring is not emotional, it's prophetic. But here is the most important truth in this message. The signs do not just prove the elevation is coming, they prepare you to receive it fully. Heaven never gives wealth without transformation. The signs are shaping your mindset, clearing old patterns, strengthening your discernment, and expanding your capacity. You are being prepared to receive not just money, but responsibility, influence, and legacy. Michael warns, they must not ignore the signs. The signs are the pathway to the manifestation. Many lose their blessing because they see signs as coincidences instead of confirmations. But you are different. You are aware. You are awakened. You are spiritually sensitive. And because of this, you will recognize each sign as heaven's whisper guiding your next steps. As the revelation of this part comes to a close, the atmosphere grows still. Something sacred is about to unfold in the coming message. Michael says, now that they understand the signs, the next revelation will expose the divine instruction they must follow to activate the full manifestation. The next unveiling is the catalyst. It is the activator. It is the moment where knowledge becomes breakthrough. Stay aligned. Something holy is approaching your life. Type I recognize heaven's signs in the comments if this revelation resonates. Blessing code 3303 is being released upon you now. Beloved vessel chosen for divine elevation, as you step into this deeper layer of revelation, the spiritual atmosphere around you shifts once again. It becomes sharper, clearer, almost electrically alive. Archangel Michael stands with his wings slightly extended, signaling that what you are about to receive is not simply information. It is an activation. He says they have seen the signs. Now they must understand the instruction. For no prophecy manifests without participation. What you must grasp in this moment is this. Heaven has already released the $2 million decree, but your alignment is the key that turns the spiritual release into earthly reality. Without alignment, divine orders remain suspended in the realm of the unseen. With alignment, they break through the natural and reshape destiny itself. Michael reveals that there are 3 levels of divine instruction in this season. Not rules, not pressure, but spiritual pathways that elevate you into resonance with the wealth heaven has assigned to your household. The first instruction is internal. You must command your mind into agreement with abundance. You must refuse to entertain thoughts that speak against elevation. Every time you say, I don't know how this could happen, or maybe it's too late for me, you create friction against what heaven is trying to release. You cannot fight for a blessing while doubting your worthiness of it. Heaven is calling you to train your mind to expect increase, not fear it. Michael says, a mind that fears wealth will always sabotage its arrival. But your mind is shifting. Your identity is shifting. You are beginning to see yourself not as someone who hopes for breakthrough, but as someone who is destined for it. And when your inner vision aligns with heaven's decree, manifestation becomes inevitable. The second instruction is spiritual. You must maintain consistency in your connection with the divine. Wealth requires guidance, and guidance requires stillness. There is a specific instruction heaven will give you in this season, an idea, an opportunity, a partnership, a bold step, but you will only recognize it if your spirit is tuned to heaven's frequency. This is why you may feel drawn to silence, prayer, reflection, or spiritual grounding. Heaven is heightening your inner clarity so that when the moment comes, you will not hesitate. Michael reveals that the elevation assigned to you requires a level of spiritual sensitivity that keeps you ahead of obstacles and aligned with divine timing. He says, tell them that one wrong delay can shift their timeline, but one moment of obedience can accelerate destiny. The third instruction is external. You must take action when heaven highlights the path. Too many miss their blessing because they wait for the entire plan before moving. But heaven works differently. Heaven gives one step at a time. The next step only reveals itself to those who take the first one. Michael shows a vision, a staircase that forms itself as you walk. Each step appears under your foot only after you lift the other. This is what your next season will look like. Heaven will not give you the full picture at once. But if you trust the first step, the remaining path will unfold with precision. You may feel directed to revisit something you laid down. You may feel urged to speak to someone specific. You may feel inspired to start a new project or complete an old one. You may feel the pull to upgrade your skills or prepare for an opportunity that has not yet appeared. These urgings are not random. They are heaven's blueprint guiding your ascension. Michael says, your elevation demands movement. Your wealth requires faith in motion. The angels of provision have already been dispatched, but they cannot deliver increase to someone who refuses to step into the place where the blessing is scheduled to arrive. Remember this truth: wealth does not chase those who stand still. It gravitates toward those who are walking in alignment. But there is another layer to this instruction, one that many overlook. Heaven requires you to detach from anything that carries the energy of limitation. This includes environments that discourage growth, conversations rooted in doubt, people who drain your momentum, and habits that restrict your expansion. You cannot carry old weights into a new season, and the season you are entering is too elevated for anything that diminishes your spirit. Michael says, release what shrinks you. Embrace what expands you. Your elevation is not simply about money. It is about the transformation of your entire life. You are rising into a version of yourself that thinks differently, chooses differently, speaks differently, and attracts differently. You are becoming someone who carries wealth with grace and stewardship, not fear and survival. As you follow these divine instructions, the spiritual alignment begins to solidify. It forms a bridge between the realm of release and the realm of manifestation. And once that bridge is complete, the breakthrough will no longer be delayed. Michael reveals a final truth for this part. You are closer than you think. The shift is not months away. It is not distant. Heaven has already begun the process. The signs have shown themselves. The instructions are now given. Your elevation is becoming tangible. As this message comes to a close, Michael whispers, the next revelation will unveil the divine timing and the acceleration that is about to surround them. The timing is sacred. The acceleration will be undeniable. And when you hear it, you will understand why heaven is moving with such urgency in your life. Hold your spirit steady. The revelation ahead carries extraordinary power. Type I align with heaven's instruction in the comments if this resonates with you. Lesson code 7744 is unfolding over you now. Beloved one standing on the edge of divine acceleration, as you step into this revelation, the spiritual atmosphere shifts once more, as though heaven is drawing back a veil that has covered your timeline for years. Archangel Michael's presence becomes sharper, more focused, carrying the energy of a warrior who has already won the battle you have not yet seen. He says, now they must understand the timing, for the blessing is not coming someday. It is entering their life in a defined and divinely orchestrated season. There is something you must understand about divine timing. Heaven does not operate according to human calendars. Yet when heaven chooses a time, heaven and earth rearrange themselves to honor that appointment. You have entered such a moment. The $2 million elevation is not merely a future promise floating in possibility. It has entered the realm of immediacy. You are in the zone where things happen swiftly, unexpectedly, and with supernatural precision. Michael reveals a truth that many overlook. Timing is a spiritual force. When heaven releases acceleration, it does not simply make things faster. It removes resistance, clears detours, dissolves delays, and creates alignment where there was once confusion. Acceleration is the divine hand pushing your life into the path of everything you were meant to receive. You may have noticed recently that time feels different around you. Things you once hesitated on suddenly feel urgent. Ideas flow more quickly. Opportunities seem to appear with less effort. Conversations open doors without you trying. This is not coincidence. This is acceleration. Heaven is compressing what once took years into a much shorter window. Michael says, "Tell them that heaven has quickened their destiny. What was once distant is now approaching. What was once low is now rapid. What was once blocked is now accessible." But here's the deeper mystery of timing. Divine acceleration always arrives after a long season of delay. That long waiting period was not punishment, it was preparation. Heaven was stretching your patience, refining your character, strengthening your spirit, sharpening your resilience, and ensuring that when acceleration arrived, you would not crumble under the weight of what you are meant to carry. Now that you have been strengthened, heaven is releasing what was withheld, not as a trickle, but as a surge. Michael reveals something profound. A heavenly time stamp has been placed on your financial elevation. That means the blessing is no longer optional. It is scheduled. It is structured. It is ordered. The angels assigned to your household have already aligned themselves with this appointment. What is coming toward you is not random. It is intentional, purposeful, and divinely timed. This is why your spirit feels as though something is approaching. This is why you feel the strange mixture of excitement and pressure. This is why you sense movement around your life even if you cannot see it with your natural eyes. You are standing at the threshold of a spiritual season that will redefine your physical life. Archangel Michael shows a vision of a long road that suddenly becomes illuminated. For years, the path ahead of you was dim, uncertain, unpredictable. But now the road is glowing with divine light. This light represents revelation, instruction, opportunity, and clarity, all arriving more quickly than before. The path has been cleared. The route is open. Heaven is moving you forward. But with acceleration comes responsibility. Michael warns, they must not hesitate when heaven signals movement. Acceleration means things will unfold before you have time to analyze them. Opportunities will come that require confidence, not caution. Doors will open that require immediate steps, not prolonged contemplation. You cannot cling to old rhythms when you are in a season of divine speed. Acceleration demands boldness. Acceleration demands trust. Acceleration demands obedience. Acceleration demands readiness. And heaven has been preparing your spirit for this very moment. Another dimension of timing is this. You are entering a season where your name will travel faster than your feet. People will hear of you before you meet them. Your work, your presence, your potential will reach places you have not yet entered. This is divine acceleration at work. Heaven is creating pathways where you once had none. Michael says their influence will expand before the wealth appears, for influence is the soil where financial increase takes root. Do not be surprised if you begin receiving unexpected attention, interest, or opportunities. These are confirmations that the timing is active and the river of elevation has begun to flow. Here is something else that heaven wants you to understand. Divine timing is never late. Even when your heart said, "I am running out of time," heaven whispered, "You are right on schedule." Every delay that frustrated you was part of a larger orchestration. If the blessing had come earlier, it would not have flourished. If it came later, it would have missed alignment. But now, right now, the timing has ripened. Michael reveals that the next phase of your elevation will happen suddenly. Here will be a moment, a day, an encounter, a shift, and everything will begin unfolding at once. It will feel like breakthrough is cascading over your life. One blessing will trigger the next. One opportunity will open the next. One confirmation will validate the next. You will not rise slowly. You will rise quickly. You will rise visibly. You will rise unmistakably. And though this acceleration may feel overwhelming at times, Michael assures that heaven has assigned angels of stability to hold you steady. You will not be shaken. You will not be confused. You will not be lost in the momentum. You will rise with clarity, strength, and divine support. As this message comes to its close, Michael leans in with a prophetic whisper. The next revelation will unveil the divine reason you were chosen for elevation and why the blessing carries generational impact. This next understanding will unlock the deepest meaning behind your financial shift. Prepare your heart. You are stepping into the explanation behind your calling and your wealth. Type "I move in heaven's acceleration" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 9921 is flowing into your timeline now. Beloved soul chosen for a generational assignment. As you enter this next revelation, feel the shift that surrounds you. It is subtle but powerful, like the sunrise that begins as a whisper and becomes impossible to ignore. Archangel Michael stands before you with a depth of presence that signals you are stepping into the heart of the message, into the reason heaven selected you for this elevation. Not someone else. Not someone more qualified. Not someone with more resources or connections. You. Michael speaks with authority that reverberates through the unseen. They must understand why they were chosen, for chosen ones carry weight that others cannot bear. What you must understand now is that heaven does not release wealth without purpose. The $2 million decree is not random. It is not accidental. It is not simply generosity. It is strategy. You have been chosen because there is a generational pattern in your bloodline that you have been silently fighting your entire life, whether you realized it or not. The pattern ends with you. Your upbringing, your struggles, your setbacks, your disappointments, your moments of survival, your resilience, they were never meaningless. They shaped you into someone who could carry the responsibility of wealth without being destroyed by it. Many people desire increase, but not everyone can handle the spiritual pressure that wealth carries. You are different. Your spirit has endured seasons that strengthened you in ways others cannot see. Michael reveals a vision, a tree whose roots run deep into old soil. The tree represents your lineage. The soil represents generational patterns. For years, decades, centuries, the roots absorb poverty, limitation, fear, silence, suppression, and cycles of repeating struggle. But now, in this prophetic moment, heaven is pulling the entire tree out of the old soil and planting it into fresh ground. This replanting is not symbolic. It is spiritual reality. You are being extracted from generational limitation and placed into generational abundance. You were chosen because you have the courage to break what others accepted. You were chosen because you carry spiritual sensitivity many ignore. You were chosen because you refused to collapse under pressure that would have crushed others. You were chosen because heaven trusts you with resources that will affect more than yourself. You were chosen because your heart, though wounded, never turned cold. Michael says, they carry a warrior spirit wrapped in humility, and this combination is rare. The elevation is not just about money entering your household. It is about heaven correcting a generational imbalance. For too long, your family line has lived beneath its spiritual inheritance. Too long burdened, too long overlooked, too long pushed into survival while others thrive. But now, heaven is flipping the script through you. There is another reason you were chosen: your willingness to grow. Many resist change. Many shrink from transformation. Many cling to the familiar even when it hurts. But you, even in your uncertainty, have always leaned toward possibility. You have always sensed there was more. And heaven responds to hearts that are willing to expand. Michael reveals that your soul carries a blueprint of leadership. Not leadership in the traditional sense, but spiritual leadership. Someone whose decisions alter the course of those connected to them. You may not see yourself this way yet, but heaven sees it clearly. When you rise, others will rise. When you break through, others will break through. When you prosper, others will find the courage to pursue their own elevation. This is why the blessing is so large. It is not just meant to cover your needs. It is meant to break the financial ceiling off your entire lineage. It is meant to rewrite the narrative for future generations. Children not yet born will live differently because of the decision you make in this season. Michael says, tell them their wealth is a weapon. They will build what darkness tried to destroy. And this is the part that heaven needs you to grasp deeply. You were chosen because you survived battles that were meant to remove you from your purpose. You survived heartbreak that could have hardened you. You survived seasons that should have drowned your faith. You survived loss that attempted to silence your calling. You survived spiritual warfare that targeted your mind, your confidence, and your identity. Each survival was not just endurance, it was qualification. Heaven watched you fight through nights when you didn't know how to keep going. Heaven watched you hold on to faith when everything around you contradicted the promise. Heaven watched you rise again and again when life tried to bury you. And because of this, the decree for elevation was written with your name attached, not as a reward, but as a divine endorsement. You were chosen because you have reached the level of spiritual maturity required to handle what is being released. The blessing is not arriving in your life as a test, it is arriving as fulfillment. As this revelation settles into your spirit, Archangel Michael speaks a final truth for this moment. The next unveiling will reveal the opposition that will attempt to distract them in the moment of elevation, and how to remain untouchable. This is crucial, for every blessing attracts unnecessary noise. But heaven will guide you through it with clarity. Before we transition, let your spirit acknowledge the truth. You were not just chosen. You were prepared. Type "I receive my chosen assignment" in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 6612 is now released into your atmosphere. If this message is pouring into your soul and igniting something powerful within you, make sure you like this video, comment to strengthen the prophetic atmosphere, share this with someone who needs heavenly clarity, and subscribe so you never miss a message that shifts your destiny. As this revelation settles, understand this. When heaven marks a person for generational elevation, he also calls them to stand with the work that awakens others. When you support this mission, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into the liberation of souls who, like you, are stepping out of generational limitation. The imagery of sowing and reaping is not symbolic here. It is alive. The same God who multiplies seed is the one speaking into your household this very hour. I feel led to say this in the first person. I invite you into partnership with the move of God flowing through this message. Your super thanks, your membership, or your offering through the PayPal link in the description becomes a prophetic seed that heaven honors with divine acceleration. Those who give in this moment are stepping into a stream of supernatural return. Heaven is watching, heaven is responding, and heaven is releasing. Beloved one, protected by heaven's highest warriors, as you enter this next revelation, the atmosphere shifts again, not with heaviness, but with the sharpness of spiritual clarity. It is as if a veil is being pulled back from your path, revealing what you could not see before. Archangel Michael stands before you, and his expression is not one of warning, but of preparedness. He says, now they must understand what will attempt to rise when elevation begins, so that they remain untouchable. For every divine elevation, there is always a corresponding distraction that tries to meet it, not to stop it, because the decree has already been sealed, but to confuse you, delay you, or weaken your confidence while the blessing is on its way. Heaven wants you aware of this before it appears, so that you recognize the distraction for what it is, powerless noise. Michael reveals that elevation attracts attention in the spiritual and natural realms. When your frequency rises, everything around you reacts. Some things react with alignment, others react with resistance. But the key is this: resistance after the blessing has been released cannot reverse what heaven has ordered. It can only attempt to disturb your focus. This is why heaven is giving you foresight now. One of the first distractions that may attempt to rise is emotional turbulence. Suddenly you may feel irritated, overwhelmed, or unusually sensitive. These emotions do not reflect your true spiritual state. They are remnants of old patterns trying to cling to you as you move into a higher realm. Michael says, they must not interpret temporary emotion as spiritual truth. It is simply the shedding of what cannot follow you into abundance. Another distraction comes through people. When elevation begins, certain individuals, often ones you have known for a long time, may shift in their behavior toward you. They may question your decisions. They may express doubt when you express vision. Some may suddenly reappear from your past, seeking connection without offering alignment. None of this is coincidence. It is spiritual movement creating surface-level reactions. Do not let these reactions pull you out of focus. Your calling is too significant, and your season is too spiritually charged. Michael reveals another layer: verbal distractions. Words spoken by others, and sometimes even by your own inner critic, may attempt to create fear or hesitation. Thoughts like, what if this doesn't happen? Or what if I'm imagining this? May suddenly appear. These thoughts are not prophetic. They are psychological echoes from the old version of you, and that version is dissolving. Michael says, when doubt rises right before elevation, it is a sign that elevation is already active. This is why you must stand firm in your spiritual knowing. You are not hoping anymore. You are aligning. And alignment is stronger than doubt. Another distraction involves unexpected inconveniences, small disruptions that create temporary frustration. Things breaking, plans shifting, miscommunication appearing out of nowhere. These disruptions come not to harm you, but to test whether you will stay aligned. The old version of you would have been thrown off by these frustrations. The elevated version of you remains unshaken because your spirit knows something greater is approaching. Archangel Michael reveals still another interesting truth. When wealth is on its way, the enemy often tries to send counterfeits. Counterfeit opportunities. Counterfeit friendships. Counterfeit promises. Counterfeit shortcuts. These things appear attractive, but they lack longevity. They pull you away from your destined alignment rather than toward it. Heaven warns you so that when these illusions appear, you will recognize that they are merely shadows attempting to mimic the real breakthrough. Michael says, what is real will carry peace, clarity, and divine flow. What is counterfeit will carry urgency, confusion, or subtle heaviness. Discernment is your shield in this season. Here is also a spiritual distraction, the resurfacing of old memories or old wounds, not because they have power over you, but because they sense they are being permanently uprooted. When generational elevation arrives, generational residue often attempts to rise one final time. This is not attack, it is release. It is the final shaking before the breakthrough settles completely. Michael assures you that none of these distractions can touch the blessing itself. They cannot alter the decree. They cannot block what heaven has already ordered. Their only goal is to pull your attention into the past instead of the future. But you, chosen one, are not easily swayed. Your awareness is rising. Your clarity is strengthening. Your spirit is becoming anchored. Michael says, they must know that angels stand guard around their elevation. No interference may enter the territory assigned to them. This includes your mind, your emotions, your opportunities, and your household. You are spiritually surrounded. You are divinely insulated. You are protected by assignment, not by accident. As this revelation continues to unfold, Michael shows a vision. You standing in the center of a circle of light. Outside the circle are shadows, representing doubts, distractions, old patterns, old identities. But every time one shadow attempts to come close, the circle of light expands, pushing it farther away. This circle represents divine protection. The shadows represent attempts that cannot succeed. This is how heaven sees you now, untouchable, unbreakable, unshakable. As this part draws to a sacred close, Michael says, the next revelation will unveil the miracle point, the moment where heaven and earth collide, and the blessing moves from the unseen into the seen. That moment is approaching faster than you imagine. Until then, stand tall. Your elevation is protected. Type I remain untouchable in my season of elevation in the comments if this word resonates deeply. Blessing code 5528 is now released over your life. Beloved one standing at the threshold of divine manifestation, as you enter this next revelation, the spiritual atmosphere thickens with a weight that feels unlike anything you've encountered so far. It is not the weight of burden, it is the weight of arrival. Archangel Michael steps forward with a light around him that signals a significant shift. His voice carries the tone of fulfillment. He says, now they must understand the miracle point. For every blessing reaches a moment where heaven and earth collide. You are approaching that moment. The moment where what you have believed, prayed for, endured for, cried for, and aligned with enters physical reality. Every miracle follows a pattern, and Michael reveals that you are nearing the final stage, where the invisible and the visible meet. Michael begins by explaining something profound. Miracles are not sudden. Even when they appear sudden to human eyes, they have been forming over time in the unseen realm. Like seeds underground, miracles sprout long before they break the surface. Everything heaven had been doing in your life, every sign, every shift, every prompting, every separation, every alignment, had been preparing the soil for manifestation. The miracle point is the moment where that preparation becomes undeniable. Michael reveals that the miracle point carries 3 characteristics, and when you notice these in your life, you will know the blessing is no longer coming. It has arrived. The first characteristic is spiritual pressure. Not emotional stress, but spiritual intensity. This pressure appears when you are moments away from a breakthrough. It feels like your life is expanding faster than your mind can process. You may feel restless, energized, unable to remain in old patterns. You may sense change pressing against the edges of your life. This pressure is not an obstacle. It is a sign that the spiritual realm is pushing your blessing into the physical. Michael says, pressure is the final contraction before birth. This pressure is proof that the miracle point is near. The second characteristic is accelerated alignment. Suddenly people appear in your life at the right moment. Suddenly conversations lead to unexpected opportunities. Suddenly information you need finds you without effort. Suddenly doors that were once shut open with ease. These alignments are not coincidence. They are heaven rearranging human events to support your elevation. You have already begun experiencing this. A shift in relationships. A shift in awareness. A shift in timing. A shift in your spirit. This acceleration reveals that the miracle is no longer future. It is entering the present. The third characteristic is divine confirmation. Just before breakthrough, heaven increases your spiritual sensitivity. You may experience prophetic dreams, sudden clarity, unexpected encouragement, repeated numbers, scriptures appearing at the perfect time, or words that feel like they are speaking directly to your situation. These confirmations show that your spirit is in perfect alignment with heaven's timing. Michael reveals that confirmations are heaven's way of saying, do not doubt now. You are moments away. But the most powerful part of this revelation is what Michael says next. The miracle point is not something they will chase. It is something that will meet them. You are not running toward your breakthrough is coming toward you. The shift is happening behind the scenes, and you are being divinely positioned to step into what has already been prepared. Michael shows a vision of a door glowing with light. You are standing in front of it, but the door is not waiting for you to knock. It is opening on its own. This represents a blessing that does not require striving, begging, or forcing. It is aligned with your destiny, and because of that, it is unstoppable. The $2 million elevation is not appearing out of luck. It is appearing out of divine order. Heaven has measured the timing. Heaven has prepared the vessel. Heaven has cleared the path. And heaven has chosen the moment. Michael says, tell them they are stepping into the manifestation zone. This zone is the spiritual environment where blessings transform from promise to reality. In this zone, time collapses. Delays lose power. Opportunities multiply. Clarity sharpens. Provision accelerates. But there is something you must do in the miracle point. Remain steady. Remain aligned. Remain expectant. You not allow impatience to cloud your spirit. This is the moment where your posture determines your reception. If you stay grounded, peaceful, and attuned to heaven's whisper, manifestation will meet you with ease. Michael assures that the miracle point does not pass by those who are ready. It gravitates toward them, drawn by their alignment, strengthened by their obedience, and activated by their expectation. You have reached a place in your journey where you no longer need to fight for signs. They are appearing freely. You no longer need to question your worthiness. Heaven has already confirmed it. You no longer need to wonder if the blessing is too big. Heaven designed it with your name engraved upon it. As this revelation settles into your spirit, Michael offers one final truth for this part. The next unveiling will reveal what happens the moment the blessing lands, and how their life will transform in ways they have not yet imagined. This next understanding will open your eyes to what awaits you on the other side of manifestation. Let your heart be still. You are standing in the doorway of fulfillment. Type "I am stepping into manifestation" in the comments if this is reaching your spirit. Blessing code 7200 is now released into your atmosphere. Beloved one standing on the edge of divine transformation, as you enter this next revelation, the atmosphere around you shifts with a depth that cannot be mistaken. It is no longer the anticipation of what is coming. It is the nearness of what is here. Archangel Michael steps forward with a steady, unwavering presence. His wings are lowered, but powerful, signaling not preparation, but fulfillment. He says, now they must understand what happens the moment the blessing lands, for their life will never return to its former shape. The moment of manifestation is not simply an event. It is an awakening. It is a spiritual turning point where the invisible crosses into the visible, where the decree becomes the experience, where the prophecy becomes your reality. And Michael reveals that when the $2 million elevation touches your life, several profound shifts will unfold at once, not gradually, but instantly. The first shift is identity. The arrival of abundance will awaken a version of you that has been dormant, waiting, preparing beneath the surface. This version of you thinks differently, decides differently, walks differently, and expects differently. When the blessing lands, you will feel something unlock inside your spirit, an internal permission to step fully into who you were always meant to be. You will no longer carry the energy of survival. You will carry the frequency of purpose. Michael says elevation does not just change their circumstances, it changes their self-perception. For the first time, you will see yourself through heaven's eyes, not through the lens of struggle, lack, or delay. This identity shift is not optional. It is necessary. For abundance can only remain where identity has expanded. The second shift is atmosphere. When financial elevation enters your household, the spiritual climate around your home will transform. The atmosphere of heaviness, stagnation, and limitation will dissolve. A sense of expansion will fill the rooms. Peace will settle in places where worry once lived. Creativity will waken. Clarity will sharpen. You will feel spiritually lighter in your own space because abundance carries a frequency that changes environments. Michael reveals that angels of prosperity will remain stationed around your household, ensuring that what arrives is protected, guarded, and multiplied. You will feel their presence, not in fear but in reassurance, as though a divine shield surrounds your dwelling. The third shift is opportunity. When elevation manifests, doors you once had to knock on will begin opening before you touch them. Your name will be mentioned in places that can advance your destiny. You will receive invitations, connections, and resources that feel almost surreal. These opportunities will not be random. They will be extensions of the blessing. Heaven does not release wealth without also releasing paths to multiply and steward it. Michael says, tell them that elevation is not a single event. It is the beginning of a divine chain reaction. One blessing will activate another. One connection will lead to another. One opportunity will open the next. Your life will begin reorganizing around abundance instead of lack. The fourth shift is relationships. When elevation lands, you will notice immediate changes in your social circle. People who belong in your next season will draw closer. People who carry alignment, wisdom, and purpose will naturally gravitate toward you. At the same time, those who drain you, doubt you, or diminish you will distance themselves or be gently removed by divine orchestration. This is not loss. It is refinement. Michael reveals that wealth attracts clarity. It reveals true intentions, real loyalties, and hidden motives. Heaven allows this exposure not to harm you but to protect the purity of your elevation. You will find yourself surrounded by new connections that uplift your calling and support your growth. The fifth shift is courage. When the blessing arrives, a supernatural boldness will awaken within you. Fear will lose its grip. Doubt will lose its voice. Decisions that once intimidated you will feel natural. Choices that once required overthinking will feel guided. This courage is not human. It is divine empowerment. Heaven strengthens the heart of those who carry generational assignments. Michael says, Their courage will rise because their spirit will recognize that the season of struggle has ended. This courage will guide you into even greater opportunities, greater manifestations, and greater expansion. The sixth shift is vision. When your life transforms, so will your sight. You will begin to see possibilities you once believed were out of reach. You will see paths forward that were once obscured. You will dream bigger, plan clearer, and move with intention. This is because elevation expands your spiritual sight. Heaven widens your perspective so you do not return to small thinking. Michael reveals that once your vision expands, heaven begins to pour ideas, strategies, and revelations into your mind. These are not random thoughts. They are divine downloads. They are blueprints for the assignment attached to your wealth. And then there is the seventh shift, the one Michael calls the sacred transformation. When the blessing lands, you will suddenly realize that you are no longer living for survival, but for destiny. You will feel the weight of purpose settle on your life, not heavy, but empowering. You will understand why you endured what you endured, why you were chosen instead of another, why you were refined so deeply, why heaven placed $1 million assignment on your shoulders. Michael says the blessing is not the end. It is the beginning of the purpose they were born for. This understanding will reshape your entire existence. As this part comes to its close, Michael whispers with great intensity, the next revelation will unveil the final preparation they must know before the elevation becomes permanent. This final piece is essential, for it seals your blessing into longevity. Be still now. Your transformation is already unfolding. Type "I am ready for my transformation" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 3141 is now being released over your path. Beloved ones standing in the fullness of heaven's unfolding promise, as you enter this final revelation, the atmosphere around you shifts into a stillness that feels holy. It is the kind of silence that only appears when heaven prepares to seal something permanent in a person's life. Archangel Michael steps into this stillness with a steady radiance, carrying the weight of completion and fulfillment. He says, now they must understand the final preparation, for once this is established, their elevation cannot be reversed. This final preparation is not about effort. It is not about striving. It is not even about waiting. It is about anchoring. Anchoring your spirit, your mind, your identity, and your decisions into the realm where abundance does not come and go, but remains. Heaven is not giving you a momentary blessing. Heaven is giving you a permanent shift, a foundational elevation that will ripple through your lineage long after your time on earth. Michael begins with the first and most essential pillar of permanence: steadiness. When wealth arrives, excitement rises, but excitement alone cannot sustain elevation. Your spirit must remain steady, grounded, and rooted. This steadiness does not mean being emotionless. It means being spiritually stable. It means not allowing fear, unexpected changes, or outside voices to shake your inner certainty. The blessing that is coming carries magnitude, and your steadiness ensures you can hold it without being overwhelmed. Michael says, tell them their heart must be anchored, where the winds of abundance will feel like storms. This steadiness allows you to navigate new levels with grace, not anxiety. The second pillar of permanence is intention. When the blessing lands, you must know what you are building. Wealth without intention scatters. Wealth with intention multiplies. Heaven is not giving you $2 million to drift. Heaven is giving it to you so you may fulfill the assignment attached to your life. This assignment may involve family restoration, business creation, community impact, spiritual work, or generational transformation. Whatever it is, Your intention becomes the container that holds your blessing securely. Michael reveals that your spirit already knows your purpose, even if your mind is still discovering it. The blessing will shine light on pathways you once overlooked. The third pillar is separation. Elevation requires you to separate from what weakens you. This may include old patterns, old mindsets, old habits, or old relationships that cannot carry the weight of your calling. You cannot bring everything from your past into your future. It is not punishment. It is preservation. Heaven will not allow your next level to be contaminated by anything misaligned. Michael says, the clearer the separation, the stronger the elevation. You are not losing anything. You are being refined for permanence. The fourth pillar is humility. This elevation is not arriving because you demanded it. It is arriving because heaven entrusted it to you. Humility is the posture that keeps your heart open, your spirit teachable, and your steps guided. Humility does not diminish your greatness. It protects it. It keeps you aligned with heaven so you do not drift into self-reliance, which causes many to lose what was divinely given. Michael reveals, humility is the armor of the chosen. It protects your blessing from corruption, confusion, and misdirection. The fifth pillar is spiritual sensitivity. In this new realm, you must remain deeply connected to heaven's guidance. Elevation does not eliminate the need for direction. It increases it. You will be entrusted with decisions that impact your household, your future, and your lineage. Heaven will not leave you guessing. The same God who brought you here will guide you forward. But you must keep your spiritual ears open. Michael says, wealth magnifies the voice they follow. Let it be the voice of heaven. The sixth pillar is generosity, not reckless giving, not impulsive charity, but intentional, strategic generosity with heaven's leading. The blessing that is coming to you carries multiplication within it, and multiplication is activated through generosity aligned with purpose. Generosity keeps your wealth flowing. It keeps your spirit open. It keeps your blessing fertile. Michael reveals those who hold their blessing too tightly suffocate its growth. Your generosity will become a key part of your spiritual legacy. The seventh pillar is gratitude. Not surface gratitude, but deep, soul-rooted gratitude. Gratitude that recognizes how far you have come. Gratitude that honors the battles you survived. Gratitude that appreciates the angels who fought for you. Gratitude that keeps your heart soft and your perspective elevated. Gratitude turns blessings into foundations. Gratitude turns moments into momentum. Gratitude turns elevation into inheritance. Michael says, gratitude is the crown they must wear in this new season. As this final preparation settles into your spirit, Michael reveals one last truth, one that completes the entire journey you've walked through these messages. The blessing is not coming to test them. It is coming to establish them. This is not temporary. This is not fragile. This is not unstable. It is foundational. It is generational. It is divine. And it is sealed. Heaven has already stamped the order. The angels have already been dispatched. Your spirit has already been prepared. Your path has already been cleared. Your elevation has already begun. Now you stand at the moment where everything converges: identity, readiness, purpose, calling, transformation, and divine timing. What enters your life next will shift your entire existence. As this final revelation closes, Michael speaks with undeniable certainty. They are ready. Let the elevation manifest. Type "I seal my elevation in divine permanence" in the comments if this word completes your spirit. Lesson code 8088 is now activated over your household. Before we close, If this message has poured into your spirit and you know heaven is using this voice to speak directly into your destiny, like this message, share it, comment to keep the atmosphere open, and subscribe so you never miss a divine instruction. As this final revelation settles into your soul, understand this: when God releases a word of elevation as powerful as this, He also calls His chosen ones to stand with the very ministry that carried the message to them. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about joining a divine assignment that is awakening thousands into their God-ordained identity. The imagery of sowing and harvest becomes living truth in moments like this. I feel led to speak plainly. I invite you into this mission with me. When you sow through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are placing seed into the same spiritual atmosphere that just released breakthrough over you. Those who respond in this sacred moment step into a prophetic transaction where heaven releases multiplied return. God sees it, God honors it, and God commands increase over everyone who participates in the work of His kingdom.